Welcome to the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals New and Improved podcast series featuring great discussions, insight, and resources on all things related to education and administration. So, hello, we're back with the MASSP podcast. We are on number 8, and we're talking about the future of testing with the PSAT 8 and 9. And we are here for the first time with Wendy Zdeb, who is our Executive Director of MASSP. Wendy, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I can't believe it took me till episode 8 to finally be able to connect with you, but I'm so glad we're able to talk tonight.
We're looking at PSAT 8 and 9. What's changing? What's happening for the MSTEP? Let's start there.
I think it's kind of interesting, like that so many people seem to be unaware of this change. It was published. I mean, not that everybody reads the many publications that come from vertical and a busy principal's world, that sometimes, you miss a memo or two. But, starting next school year in the spring, MSTEP for ELA and math is going to be replaced by PSAT 8-9. And, I purposefully call it PSAT 8-9 because 8th graders and 9th graders take the exact same test. So the benchmark is different for 8th grade than it is for 9th. But, the important thing to think about with this is, in terms of the rigor, it really is going to stretch our students a little more at 8th grade because the MSTEP measured strictly 8th grade standards. So when 8th graders took the, math test, for example, they were only being tested on 8th grade benchmarks. Whereas PSAT 8-9 has a larger width and breadth of the curriculum. So, I think one of the things to remember about that, we did a survey of the MASSP Board of Directors, and, we said, what math class are your 8th graders taking in your school district? And what we basically found across the state is that 8th graders were taking 4 different math classes. They were taking 8th grade math, they were taking pre-algebra, algebra, or geometry.
Yep.
So if we're going to take, if MSTEP was pretty limiting then when you think about it, because many students had already exceeded the 8th grade curriculum in 8th grade. And so that was actually testing something maybe they had done the year before. So I really honestly believe that this is going to be a positive change when we look at wanting to become a top 10 and 10 state and wanting more students to be college and career ready on the SAT. I really believe that this is a step in the right direction. It's definitely going to be a challenging step for our middle level educators who maybe aren't familiar with the College Board system.
Right.
So that's why we're really out in the field trying to do a lot of awareness about what does this new assessment look like? What are the key shifts and changes? What do educators need to be aware of? And then what information should you share with parents? So that's what we've really been focused on.
So what about the WorkKeys? Will anything change with that?
Well, there's always a hope. For the 5 years that I've been the executive director at MASSP, we have been pushing to eliminate WorkKeys because, according to our membership, I have yet to find really any schools that are heavily engaged in using that WorkKeys data. Part of the hiccups or hangups with that is that it is stated in legislation that in Michigan, we will give our 11th graders a college readiness test, which obviously the SAT fits that bill, and that we will give a career readiness assessment. And so that's kind of where, the problem is. There would have to be a legislative change, and that just gets a little bit sticky because then, various groups come in and start lobbying saying, we have to have this assessment. And of course, we as the education community say, why nobody's using that data? So that's really the hang up. But there was legislation that was introduced this session to eliminate WorkKeys. And we were actually pretty hopeful that might happen. And then it just kind of stalled. So you never know what might happen with lame duck. That's the period, at the end of the governor's term when all kinds of crazy, things happen and legislation, deals are made. And so I haven't completely given up hope on the WorkKeys legislation, but that's where it's at right now. It's just kind of sitting.
All right. So there it is. So what are the differences between PSAT 8-9 and the MSTEP?
Well, I think some of the very significant differences are, this is a pre-college entrance exam. And so people have to remember that it's called PSAT because it's pre-SAT.
Right.
So, kids nowadays, I would say, I'm in classrooms all over the state on a regular basis. And I would say, probably in like 3rd and 4th grade, kids start asking, why do I have to do this? And in some cases even earlier.
Yep.
So, I really believe that PSAT 8-9 gives us a chance to say, here's what's in it for you. You're going to get a predictive college entrance exam score. This is something that's actually meaningful. So I do think, in terms of a selling point to 8th graders who, are really tending to be a little bit skeptical at that age.
There's value in it.
I do think that they will see value in it. So, it's funny, my own niece is currently in 10th grade. She took PSAT 9 last year. And, after she took the test, I went over the results with her and I talked to her about the fact that this was a pre-SAT test and it's predictive. And she wants to go to Michigan State. So I said, let's look at the website and see what the average entrance score is. And then all of a sudden she looks at me and she has this like shocked look on her face and she goes, oh, if I would have known it was that important, I would have actually tried. Here's the key thing.
Yes.
We really need, our 8th grade teachers, our 8th grade administrators to really make sure that parents and students understand, what's in it for them on this assessment and why there's good buy-in. So I think that's going to be a big change. But some of the just kind of key things are, as I already mentioned, it's measuring benchmarks below 8th grade and above 8th grade. So that's another critical change, whether it's ELA or math. There is not an actual writing component, like they don't write in an essay, but there is what we call writing in language, where they are critiquing writing. So that's a different skill set. So that's why it's really important that 8th grade language arts teachers really take a look at what that test looks like, because it is things that they're doing, it's just in a different manner. So they need to be familiar with the test so that they might be able to design some of their own classroom assessments, similarly. And then I would say another really key point is that students have been used to online testing for the last couple of years at, the middle school. And now this is going to be back to pencil paper. And then one other thing that I think is a fairly significant change is that, they really have to be thinking about a timed assessment. Whereas with MSTEP, they've been getting, unlimited time. And so, for some students, it's not that they don't know the material, but it's fluency. How quickly can you get through the material? So I think those are kind of like some of those key things.
Those are big ones too. They're big ones. So, when you talk about assessments, those are huge, huge differences. So looking at those, how can the middle school principals help their staff, students, and parents prepare for these?
Well, I really do think, and this is not that MASSP always has the answer that, but we've put a lot of time and effort. You have to remember that on our staff are 4 former high school and middle school principals. So we are, looking at changes that happen, whether it's an assessment or anything else, we are very, cognizant of what is this going to mean for kids? What is this going to mean for staff? What's this going to mean for the principals? So we really have put together these PSAT 8-9, we call them digging in workshops, so that, we really walk people through what does the test look like, what are the key skills, and, what are some activities that you can do with your staff to get them familiar with the new test. And then, what are those key shifts, curriculum and instruction. And then we've also already done a slide share that principals can share with parents, so that you could have a parent night, or you could even just send the video link with a slide share that goes through and says, here's what that new assessment looks like. And here's why it's important. It's a pre-SAT test, all those kind of key factors. Yeah.
That's a great resource.
It is. We've put together some really great toolkits. And you know what? That's what I think all of us, when we think about, our jobs at MASSP, as with everyone, there's certain parts of your job that fill your bucket, and certain parts of your job, you're like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this or that. But really, I think creating those types of resources is a bucket filler for everybody on our staff. And so every time something happens, we're always thinking, what's this going to mean? How can we make it easier? principals just have so many things on their plate. So I'm glad that you have found those resources helpful. And, maybe through these podcasts, more and more people can even be aware that they exist.
Right. Yes, absolutely. That's the hope, right? That's
Right.
the hope. So looking beyond 2018 and 19 and the PSAT 8 and 9, what does the MASSP crystal ball predict about the future of testing?
Well, the other kind of key thing that's going to change, and the reason why MDE has not been out speaking about this very much in terms of assessment is because we're in the budget process right now at the state level. And so until the budget is passed, by the House and Senate, signed by the governor, like nothing's set in stone. Right. But I have no reason to believe that the assessment pattern that they've, suggested isn't going to go through in this budget cycle. So the big change is really going to be in grades 3 through 7, where they are going to move to benchmark assessments. So they will still have, some summative assessments like the MSTEP piece, but they're going to have the opportunity to pick from 3 different benchmark assessments, one of them being NWEA. Now, I'm sure you've heard of NWEA. Yeah. Many districts all over the state are using that. Yep. And basically, they give that assessment 3 times a year. It's pretty expensive. So the exciting thing is that districts are going to have access to that free of charge. Oh. So that's going to be a really nice bonus. But that's going to be one of the big changes in terms of 3 through 7 assessment.
It creates amazing data.
It really does. It really does. And it really, for those that haven't used it, it really gives that perspective of, how much, growth has the student experienced over the course of the year. Right. And it also gives, in addition to those, they call them RIT scores, but in addition to those RIT scores, it really digs into specific skills that students need assistance with. So that's why the benchmark assessments are valuable, because the teacher gives the assessment, the results are in the computer within a day, and they can immediately react and share that information with parents and start, remediation a lot sooner than obviously on the state assessment where we get the data, months later. And that's the whole concept of an interim assessment, right? I mean, is that you're going to get those results more quickly and be able to really use them for instructional purposes. And, that is another benefit to PSAT 8-9 over MSTEP is, our students that took PSAT 9, 10, and the SAT this year, they already have their results. We haven't gotten them from the whole school because it takes a while for that batch upload to get into the MDE system to go to each individual school. Yep. But the kids already know their scores, which is fantastic. The thing that I've also really been talking to people about in that 8th grade workshop is that they get this awesome College Board reporting portal, that they can manipulate, use, they can see the actual test item. I mean, I think, of course, anybody, because we've had so much change in public education that you're like, really another change? But I'm hoping that they feel like we all do at the high school. I mean, many of us were like, what? When we changed from ACT to SAT. But I really believe that most people looking at the reporting portal, the Khan Academy remediation, I think most of us would say it was well worth it. And so I'm hoping that our 8th grade colleagues feel the same way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we have had so much focus and movement between the Khan Academy and College Board integration and what our students are able to achieve. I think that you just can't put a price on that. So moving forward, there's so much happening with MASSP coming up. Even though the school year is ending, there's still everything happening. So we have EdCon coming, and EdCon is the end of June, and we can still take registrations up until the very beginning of the event. Fall PSAT 8-9 dates. Tell us about when those are, Wendy.
We're not doing, the state doesn't pay for fall testing.
Okay.
So they're going to be taking the PSAT 8-9 in the spring in the same window that our 10th graders take it. So, I mean, it's going to be in the same window. And, you mentioned EdCon, our big summer conference, and because of this switch to PSAT 8-9, the College Board is going to be there doing 5 breakout sessions. Wow. And another exciting thing and this will impact 8-9, but it'll also impact the high school, is that the reporting portal for the College Board is going cloud-based. And there's a bunch of cool new features. So everybody that's at EdCon will have the opportunity, obviously, to go to that breakout session and learn about those changes. And they also have an awesome new free career exploration platform. So that's going to get rolled out at EdCon. And we have two amazing keynote speakers. I know many people in our state have heard George Curos speak before, but personally, I could listen to George, numerous times.
Can't hear him enough.
Yeah, and so attendees of the conference are also going to get his book, Innovator's Mindset, for free.
Wow.
And then we also have Tim Elmore coming. And for people who haven't heard Tim Elmore speak, man, he is just an amazing speaker. And he's really going to be talking about, yes, we've had this big emphasis on, our math and ELA skills to get us to be a top 10 10 state. But what employers are really talking about are those employability skills like communication and collaboration. And so that's what Tim Elmore is going to be speaking about, is how do we integrate those types of soft skills into the work that we're doing. So I really honestly feel like the conference we've put together is just so rock solid, and people are really going to get a ton out of it. And then, of course, I can't really end this without mentioning the fact that our own Principal Stanger is going to be doing an Ed Talk. I mean, she is just going to rock it out of the park.
It's going to be so much fun. I am really, really excited for ICON in general. The talk will be fun, but it's going to be a great, George and I have done a couple panels together. And I've been back and forth with him about the EdCon, and he's excited and I'm excited. And it's going to be fantastic. You guys have honestly put together this amazing event, and it's jam-packed in 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Just, oh my gosh. So if you are not already planning on going, you really, really should. There's information on the website, but check it out. Get there if you can, even for a day.
Yeah. We've got over 400 principals registered. I mean, one of the things you find when you go into administration is that it can be a lonely gig, right? So this is an opportunity to connect with people from all over the state, share ideas, network, because we have, organized networking as part of the program as well. So, awesome. Really this, even if you don't know anyone and you're a little bit shy about, kind of leaving your area and other principals from your league are going, don't worry, you're going to be there with 400 new best friends.
That's right. This is a great place to go if you are moving to a new position, if you are in a building that you're by yourself in the district, if you're in an independent school. This is a great place for you to go because you're going to meet a ton of people, get a million new resources, and really just have a great network when you leave.
Amen to that.
I love it. And with that, Wendy, thank you so much, because I know your schedule is so busy. So thank you for being here with us tonight. And we will see you all the next time on the MASS. The next MASSP podcast is going to be live streamed we're doing a live podcast from EdCon.
Well, hopefully I can crash that party.
Yes. Oh, that'd be amazing. So we will talk to you all then. Thank you again.